All right, you guys. Does everybody have a background color? Yeah, hopefully we all got that. If you haven't yet, or maybe you're changing your mind, just let one of my helpers know. Okay, we have some new people. You guys are new. Yes, and this whole table right here. Yes. We are so excited to have you here. My name is Miss Cami. I'll be instructing the class. You can see my gnome up here. You can watch me paint. This is our gnome. I'm in love with our gnome. Isn't he cute? It's like literally like, I don't know, Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling it. It's so cute though. Um, for those of you that are new, if you want to switch this up anyway, do that, okay? If you don't like maybe the bows on the hat or the patch, you can paint right over the patch. If you're being inspired or getting inspiration, just roll with it. You don't have it. It doesn't have to look like this, okay? This is just a starting point. Um, if you have any questions throughout class, you can holler up at me. I love to chat with you during class. But if you need help, like paint, you ran out of paint, maybe there's a drip on your canvas or a mistake, my girls know all the tricks. Okay? So don't be afraid to ask them, even my adults, okay? They know how to help you. All right? So use them. Are we ready? Ready to go? Okay. This is a quiet class compared to our last one. Last one was a little wild. A little wild. All right, this is a live class. So I've got to switch my camera here. And we are going to start actually in our hat because brown needs 2 layers of paint, okay? So let's go ahead and mix that color. So I've got my plate here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a scoop of white. Oh, I need to get my brush wet first. Just pick a jar. You have 2 so that you can use clean water to dilute your paint during class. So keep 1 jar clean. I'm going to get a scoop of white over to my brown and start mixing my hat color. Okay. I want to keep some dark brown available for like shadowing and stuff. Okay. So just see how I'm just kind of pulling the brown into my little mixture here. And keep in mind, it dries a shade or 2 darker on your canvas than what it looks like on your plate. So that's something to keep in mind too. Okay, so once you have a color that you're happy with, make sure you mix enough because you're going to need to use it twice, 2 layers. Once you're happy with that, go ahead and paint the whole hat, except we're going to not paint inside of our little patch. So like I said, we're going to do 2 layers. So as you paint, you're going to see a lot of brush strokes. And it's going to frustrate you if you're like a perfectionist. But just keep in mind, we're going to go over it again. So one of the biggest struggles new artists have with acrylic paint is they forget that it needs water. So your paint needs water from the second it comes out of the bottle. So always make sure you're diluting your paint so that you're not fighting those grooves on your canvas. Otherwise, you will be. So if you feel like it's super thick or the little pockets on your canvas aren't getting filled well, dip your brush in water and then mix that water into your paint. So I know it's super quiet, but you can talk to each other if you want. I know, I think I've got a very focused group tonight. It's great, but just know I'm okay if you talk. So I'm a big fan in wrapping your canvas. I tell my little artist, your canvas is your gift and your picture is the wrapping paper. So wrap your canvas like you would wrapping paper. Your picture would go around the edge. So with this one, there's two things going around the edge. The hat does and the shoes. And then the rest is the background. So if you just want to wrap that little hat, because it kind of swoops around there and then it comes to this point. If you're uncomfortable painting the point of the hat with your big red brush, you can switch to that green round brush that you have. It's that medium-sized brush. Otherwise, you can just flip your brush to the toe and paint with the toe of the brush versus the flat. And then we'll wash our brush when we're done with that. Remember, you're picking one jar as your washing jar, and the other one is we're gonna try and keep it clean so that whenever our paint needs water, we can use that clean water to dilute our paint. So throughout class, you will find that either you're way ahead of me and you're getting bored, which is not going to be most of you tonight, but some of you might feel that way. And then some of you might feel like I'm going so fast and it's stressing you out. Okay, so just know that we all paint at different paces and you can go at your pace. I'd rather you go at your pace and be happy with your work than to rush. So don't ever feel stressed out if I move on and you're not ready. If you miss a step, you can always ask me again, or you can ask one of my helpers and they can catch you up, okay? So again, when you're done, give your brush a good wash. Don't worry too much at this stage about the edges of your hat, seeing the brush strokes, any of that. Just get that first layer on there, okay? And the next thing we're going to do is our background. So this was artist choice. So you have picked your background. If you want to do a super dark background, just keep in mind the darker the color, the more layers it needs, unless you're doing black. Black will just need one layer. But if you're doing a dark blue or a dark pink, you might need 2 layers. Okay? White is the most pigmented paint, so it gives you the most coverage, and that's why we use so much of it. My background is using this golden color. So if you're doing the same as I am, get a scoop of that golden color, bring it over to some white, and really lighten it up. I lighten mine a lot. It is a very, very light. If you wanted a little more gold, you can do that. But I like to lighten it quite a bit. Again, it dries darker on your canvas, so sometimes it's like, oh, that's super light, and then you do a stroke on your canvas and you realize it's actually quite dark. So we're going to go ahead and do this. There's a lot of wispy hairs going on with this gnome. So if you get up close to some of these and you feel like you can't get in between those, go ahead and get that green medium-sized brush out and paint around the hairs with that, okay? So I'm just going to start filling it in. I like to kind of go just kind of roughly around it before I get up close. And again, we like to wrap our canvas here, so this background will go around your edges, it'll go around the top, all those things, okay? You'll notice my surface is a little wider than yours. You don't have as much background as I do. And don't be afraid to flip your canvas on its side or upside down to reach certain spots or to get the bottom or the top of your canvas. All of that is fine. And at this point, really pay attention if you need to add water to your paint. Make sure you're going in that clean jar, especially with a light color like this. You can see when I get up next to the edge of something, I flatten my bristles so they fan out, and then I can get a nice stroke, a nice clean edge. Obviously, you want to try to avoid going into the hat or into the hair, but sometimes that can be tricky. And if it happens, this color is super light. Well, if you're doing the same as mine. So if it gets in the hat, we're doing another layer, so you don't need to stress about that. Obviously, the beard is white, so we want to try and avoid going in there. But if you accidentally get a big stroke of your background in your beard, let my helpers know because they have the trick to get that paint off. And you can just raise your hand and they'll come find you. The majority of the beard can be painted around by just flipping your brush to the toe instead of the flat. But I know there are some sections that are a little tight, so. And we will be outlining the beard with a nice gray outline. So that'll cover up if you go in a little bit too. So we've got some sections here on the bottom that our background comes through, so gotta kind of pay attention to that. If you've picked a color that is clearly going to need another layer, it's better to just do a nice thin coat of paint and then go back to that layer and add than to put a really thick layer of paint. Because what'll happen is we'll just put this really thick paint on our canvas and we'll keep painting over it, hoping it gets more and more coverage. And what happens is it starts to lift the paint off of our canvas instead of laying it down, which is really maddening. It's almost too quiet for me in here. You guys know I prefer really loud, obnoxious classes. Hey. Well, I like painting with you ladies, but no one's talking. That color's really pretty. I like it. Yeah. I know it's a lot. It's a lot, but it's so fun. You won't like it when we start to do the lines, but what? Are you serious? Which class was that? Oh my gosh, that's funny. That's funny. Oh, rude. Yeah, rude. You would have seen her picture show up on our stories and been like, "Hold up." Gosh. Please don't tell my secrets. Oh boy. Are you guys related? Okay. Ooh, that's dangerous. All right, if you're feeling adventurous, I like to put a little white around my subject. So I keep the background color on my brush, put some white on my brush, and I just lighten the areas closest to the gnome. This is going to be such a faint, you're going to hardly be able to see this because of how light the color is. But I still like to do it. And you can choose to do it or not do it. It's up to you. It's best to do it when your canvas is wet. And you can just kind of blend those light edges in. Does she like living in St. George? Do they? Oh no. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Adulting is so fun. I know. I'm like, I got rear-ended a week ago. No, not a week ago, a month ago. Still have no. My rear-ended vehicle is sitting in my driveway still. Insurance is just like not even. Yeah, but it's the person's insurance company that's driving me crazy. Oh boy. This was an underage DUI. Yeah. Not even his vehicle. This is a good time. Yeah, I know. I had a mom moment where I'm like, oh, I kind of felt, all the mom feels like that's hard for everybody. These are some fun colors. Okay, check your canvas for clumps. If you have clumps, smooth them out. Acrylic paint will dry really fast. If you have a bunch of clumps, though, it's going to take longer to dry. And if you need to do another layer, you really want to smooth those out. All right. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to fill in your background, but I like to remind you that we're going for 60%. So a lot of us come and we want this perfect painting. It's not going to look like mine. It's not going to look like your neighbors. Everyone's going to be different. So don't spend too much time on a step like this background, because in the end, it's the details on the gnome that are going to be seen and the eye is going to be drawn to. And that's where we want to slow down and pay attention, is on the gnome. The background, just get it in the best you can. And that way we have more time to focus on our cute little gnome. I don't care if you paint it. If you want to paint it, you can. You have to trace one. But there's like plate of paint, you can get a new one. But yeah, you can paint and just pay attention at the same time. I know. Like whispering. I know. Can I talk? So don't forget your edges. You know, you want to wrap those. Especially if you plan on like displaying this for the holidays or anything, make sure your edges are wrapped. And the two that we forget is the very top, because we can't see it, and the bottom because it's sitting on our easel. So just flip it on its side so that you can paint the top and the bottom. The other thing you can do is you're getting paint kit orders. If you want to have them, see if you have them already made and make them for tomorrow's pickup, because you're getting some of those in too. Mm-hmm. Also, Autumn, do we have more kitties for the birthday done? The birthday tomorrow. I would text Emma and see. All right, guys. I'm usually not this nice. I have given, right, Robin? I mean, I've done a long pause here. This is a long pause. Even though everybody's still on background. Need some help. Olivia, we've got a hand up on the floor. I'm not, but if you need to, you can. Yeah. Yeah, you can definitely touch up. Do you want to do your edges, sweetie? Paint your edges blue so it's all finished all the way around. Yeah, she's right. I think she might be my only one. So remember your paint should always be melted ice cream consistency. So that'll really help you as you paint. If your paint is too thick, you're just going to fight it the whole time. You're not going to get a smooth line. It's going to be clumpy and frustrating. So that's what that clean water is for. Dip that brush in clean water, mix the water into your paint so that you have a good thinned out paint, okay? We're going to go back to our hat and do another layer. So make sure your brush is clean and then go back to that brown that you made. And this is a great opportunity if you're like, I want my hat darker, I want my hat lighter, to change it. I'm going to keep mine the same. So I'm going to put another layer on my hat. This one should give you much better coverage. You can also clean up the edge if you got some of your background into your hat at all. This other layer should go on much quicker and easier because the grooves of your canvas are all filled at this point. So it should go on a little easier. But once you get that on there, don't wash your brush because we'll go ahead and add our shading in there. And we want that hat color on our brush. So if you're really fast and you've already filled in your hat, just hold off a second. Don't wash your brush yet because I'll show you how we're going to do that in just a second. And we'll go ahead and add the fun shadows and the little grooves and everything. And you can really hold your canvas anyway. If it's uncomfortable on the easel to you, you can kind of put it on the table a little bit, slant it a little bit more, upright a little more, whatever works for you. Just don't feel like you have to stay in that position the whole time. We're going to do something to clean it up. Yeah, you're good. Okay, so no, this is his little ankle. Okay? Yeah. That'll be a little skin tone right there. It's just down here in between the feet. Okay, so I've got my hat color on my brush, okay? Pull it out a little bit so it's thin, like it's not super chunky. And then put the corner of your brush in that darker brown that we've kept so that your brush is loaded like this. Okay? Now we're going to take that edge and we're going to, let me see, where can I go that you'll see? We're going to go around our hat with it, okay? So I'm pressing all my bristles, okay? And I'm going to go around my hat. So let's look up here. Oh, you can't really see. It's so many sparkles. See all the dark edge around there? That's what we're doing, and we're doing it with the edge, the corner of our brush in that brown. So put the corner in brown, and we're going to go all the way around, and we're going to put in lots of fun details as we go. Yeah, if you are out of dark brown, just let my helpers know, and they can get you some more. But notice I'm using all my bristles. I'm not just using the corner that has paint. I'm using all my bristles. I would do your hat first, unless your background is dry. Yeah, if it's all dry, then you can go for it. So you want to make sure you don't have a ton of that light brown on your brush. Otherwise, it'll just kind of drown out that darker brown. So make sure you don't have a ton of that on it. There's a lot of lines on here that you're just going to have to make yourself. For example, this one right here, because this is the inside of the hat, so we're going to paint that a dark brown in a minute. And this will just take some practice, so just like to remind people to be kind to yourself, because it can be super frustrating the first time that you do it. And if your brush gets just really lots of clumps on it, and it's not offloading very well, just kind of wash it off. Go back to your water, loosen all your paint up again. Make sure you don't have a bunch of dry paint stuck up in that metal part of your brush. The tip of the hat is a little tricky because it comes down to a point. So I like to just kind of use the toe of my brush and do the best you can. You know, it's not going to be perfect. You can even just outline the tip in the dark brown if that's easier for you. And then as we come down the sides, we're going to make these little wrinkles in the hat. Again, I know I'm moving quickly. I like to move while my paint is wet. But I will pause in a minute so that you can kind of catch up. So So you can see I'm pulling some of my strokes in so that it looks like there's little wrinkles in the hat as it's bending around. A nice floppy hat. If you start this process and you're just over it really fast, you can use your detail brush and just do these in brown lines, dark brown lines, instead of doing it the way I'm doing it. The way I'm doing it, we like to call floating because it kind of floats a dark edge into the lighter section of the hat instead of a harsh line. But if that's just not what you want to do, totally fine. When I'm done with that, I'll just get the dark brown on my little, my green, round green brush, medium brush, and I'm going to paint the section of the hat that's the inside of the hat. I'm going to paint it dark brown. And all those layers that we did of the light brown should help us not have to do multiple layers of this dark brown and just put the dark under there. So that's kind of like in the shadow. So then you have a nice shadow in there. If you have a really dark brown hat and you can't see the brown lines showing up, add a little black to your brown and darken your brown for the lines and the grooves and the shadows and stuff, and that'll help you see it a little bit better. My children might need me. Hopefully husband remembered to pick them up. Yeah, I'm like, that may have been her dance studio. He forgot, ladies. You know, it's okay. All right, so my little patch on my hat is just going to be a lighter brown, okay? So I'm going to take my hat color and add even more white to just a little section of it because it's just this one little patch. So just make a lighter version of your brown. All right. I love that they call me and not Dad. Just make a lighter brown and we'll fill the patch in. Livia, can you please call this number? Not on my phone. It's, yeah. That's Addie's dance studio. Say, Addie's mom is teaching. Her dad is coming. All right, so you want your brown for the patch to be obviously different than the brown on the hat. So you see how much lighter this is? You want it to be nice and light. That way you can see it on this hat. If it was too close to the same color, that would be a struggle to see it. Are we already calling our gnome trash? Oh, are you? Oh. Shake it off a little. If you're feeling like you want to float inside of that little patch, now that we're talking about how fun floating is, you can do that with that. Instead of the dark brown, put the hat color on the edge of your brush and go around it. But we're going to outline it too, so it's just if you want that kind of faded look inside of it. It's super subtle, so it's up to you if you want to do it or not. But this little part does curve into the patch because there is another wrinkle. See, this one kind of continues into it. Thank you. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. I'm going to get my detail brush and my dark brown. Okay, so your tiniest brush is your detail brush. I'm going to add some water to my dark brown here. And I'm going to go around my patch with my dark brown. So I'm going around the patch. I might add a touch of black to my brown, just a touch. Don't go too crazy too fast because it takes a very little black. But I'm going to add a little because I can't see this line as much as I want to. So I'm going to add just a touch of black to my brown. Make that like rich chocolate brown. And I'm going to go around my little patch. And I'm going to add some fun stitches on this patch. So just kind of little dashes. You can have fun with it. Don't make them all the same. Otherwise it'll look too cookie cutter. Just a few stitches around there. So cute. This hat takes a little attention, guys. We're giving this hat some good attention. Again, if your brown isn't showing up, add some black to it. I added some black, and so now I have this like rich chocolate color. Okay? And that will help it show up, and it'll help with coverage too. So I'm going to come to the bottom, the like tip of my hat here. And I'm going to put a circle. That's going to be the middle of my wispy little, look what you get to do. You get to do these cute little bows. This is overwhelming you. You can skip the bows. Maybe you don't like the bows. Up to you. Okay? But put a little dot right there where that bow's going to go. And then my second one's going to go right here. So I'm going to just kind of swirl in a little dot right there. So then I know the placement, okay? And now I'm going to take the time again to just make sure my paint is thinned out, because when you do lines, your paint being thin is so helpful. So I'm going to make sure it's nice and thinned out. And then I'm going to do my bows. And you just kind of have to go for it. Okay, it's kind of scary. Again, if your paint is too thick, you're not going to get that nice little like loop with your brush. You'll kind of get stuck on all the grooves. And if you need to go over it again, you can. Remember, brown is a shy color. And my favorite part are the little ribbons that kind of come down. Are we comparing over here? Yeah. Yeah, that's against the rules, guys. Against the rules. Again, if you want to opt out of my wispy ribbons, it is okay. And they don't have to look exactly like mine either. If yours are blowing a certain different direction or whatever, that's okay. Maybe you just want to add one to the tip of your hat, and you don't want to have one over here on the side. It's totally fine. But other than a few highlights, that is the hat. So I'm going to give you guys a minute to decide. I know most of you have not attempted the bows, so I'm going to give you a minute to think about it. If you start it and you hate it, my helpers can get it off if it's still wet. Okay? So you can be like, help me, and they'll come take it off, okay? You can even just say, maybe I'll do the bows later and not do them right now. That's fine too. Okay, let's go ahead and put in all of our skin, okay? So we have all this light brown from our hat. I'm going to use my medium green size brush, okay? I'm going to add lots more white to it, lighten up the skin, and just a touch of orange. Just a little touch of orange to that as well, okay? My detail brush. Okay, so your skin tone is going to be white, some of that light brown you made, and a touch of orange, okay? And you can play with it a little bit. You can, you know, make it darker. You can make it lighter. More orange will give it more of that pinky tone to it. And once you have that, we'll just start filling in the face and the nose first. Yeah, you can just use the brown from your hat because it's just brown and white. And then you can add lots more white and then some orange. And like I said, I grabbed my medium green size brush to fill it in. So we've got the little face and we have the hands holding the pumpkin. I see some good ribbons out there. You guys did good. It's impressive. It's hard to do. So I'll do my little hands. Got the pumpkin. And then we've got the little ankles. So that's that triangle right over, what would that be? The right foot. And then this ankle on the left as well. So you're want to take your hat color, add a bunch of white to some, and then a touch of orange. Okay? And I use this round brush, my green one, because I've just got these teeny little spaces that I'm doing. Just so you guys know, the hat, that was a big chunk of this painting. So pat yourself on the back. You did the hat. Okay. That was tricky. I mean, we still have to do all the beard lines, but we've got yeah, those lines you have. The bows you have to kind of do on your own. What's up, sweetie? You need something? It's orange. I get asked that almost every class. If it's orange or red. Yeah. I had a little boy a couple weeks ago that was like convinced it was red. And he was like, no, I need orange on my plate. I'm like, you do. You have it. I promise. So I will switch to my my flat brush, my red one again, just to add some brown on the edge. You can use the hat color brown or your dark brown, whatever you want. And I'm just going to separate the nose with a little bit of a float right there. Okay. Again, you can do this with a detail brush and just do a line if you prefer, and not with your big brush. But this will just kind of separate the nose from the face. Although it is attached to the face, that sounded weird. And I like to also just give the fingers a little bit of a shadow. But again, you can just outline these if you don't want to do this with your big flat brush. Cute little details there. So the nose and the fingers, I just put dark brown on the edge of my flat brush and did that, okay? If you start painting your skin tone and it looks super dark, just add some white. If you want it dark, awesome. You can keep adding brown to it. If you want it lighter, white. If you want it super tan, then add orange. If you want your gnome to have a good tan, you can add some orange to it. And he's coming along. Stretch it out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a minute to catch up here. And then we're going to move on to our pumpkin. I usually am only worried about the kiddos that got dropped off, but so many of you came together. I think it's just my 3 teens right here. But you guys always go over anyway, so probably good. Your mom, who's getting you? Who's picking you guys up? Your mom? Okay. Look at those bows. Oh my gosh. How are we doing over here? It looks so good. All you first timers are doing awesome. Good job. Fun colors. These look great. Nice job. Who's thieves? What are they stealing? Oh. Yeah, I'm impressed. Look at that cute little bow you did. That's awesome. Good job. All right. Use the bottom of your red brush. Dip it in your black paint. So we're using the bottom of it like a stamp. And this is how we're going to put those eyeballs in. You might need to mix it a little bit. It's been sitting there for a minute. We're going to put the eyes in so they can dry. And we can do that little reflection. So then just kind of swirl in your eyes. You can do a sleeping gnome too if you want. You can do little closed eyes. But we're going to go ahead and put those dots in so that it can dry. You might even want to just loosen your black with some water. I'm going to get my detail brush and really loosen my black paint. Because while I'm on black, I'm going to go ahead and give him a little smile. And if you have a sad gnome today, you can put a sad face. My gnome's happy. Okay, how are we doing? We ready for shoes and pumpkin? Shoes, pumpkin, and then we will do our beard. You guys are on the home stretch. Okay, so I chose to do green shoes because I thought it looked good. Okay. You guys can do orange shoes, brown shoes, black shoes. Okay. Here's my green. I'm back to my red brush. And here's my green. I want to lighten some of it, but I want to keep some of it dark so I can do a little bit of a shadow, okay? So get a scoop of white and lighten some of it quite a bit. If you want to add a little bit of yellow to it, that golden color, you can, and it'll make it a little limey. But see how I have some light and I kept some dark. And then we'll go ahead and we'll fill in those fun shoes. Okay, let's see here. Got to figure out. It's fun shoes here. I'm a big fan of this gnome's shoes. Just pay attention. You can look up at the screen. We're painting around the beard. And this is when you'll want to flip your canvas on its side and get the bottom of your canvas. And we saved some of that dark so you could put dark on one edge of your brush like we've been doing the whole time and do some little shadow. I like to, that front of the shoe, I like to round out quite a bit and have it kind of go into the shoe a little. So that's kind of fun. So again, you can just do this with a detail brush, or you can use your flat. And then switch to your medium-sized grain brush to do that stem on your pumpkin. Cute little stem here. If you have a green background and you don't want to do green shoes, like I said, you could do brown, you could do black. If there's another color that you want, just ask my helpers and they can get you another color for your shoes too. Yeah, just mix green and white together. Save some dark green though, so you can kind of do these little shadows in it. All right, we are gonna move on to our pumpkin, guys. Is anybody ready for pumpkin? You are. You are too. Oh, we gotta go with the birthday girl. She's gonna keep us on track. Okay, so let's lighten some orange, but we need some dark orange too, so don't use all your orange, okay? So get a nice scoop of white over to your orange and lighten half of it with white, and then keep the other half dark so that we can do all those pumpkin grooves with the dark. All right, so then you're just gonna fill your pumpkin in with your light orange, okay? And I'm using my red brush, okay? So we're just gonna fill in our pumpkin. And this is kind of tricky because we're going around all the hands and the stem. But it's so cute once this pumpkin gets on there. I love it. All right, so our pumpkin, fill that in. If you're having a hard time with your flat brush, again, you could move to your detail brush and do that just fine, okay? So I have a lot of sparkle on my gnome. I just like some glitter. I'm going to have one of my helpers put plates of glitter glaze between you guys, okay? Livia, will you do that? You or Natty? That way when you're ready to glitter, if some of my younger artists are finished earlier, they can. Just keep in mind before you glitter, your brush needs to be clean and dry, and you can't glitter something that's wet, okay? So just keep that in mind, and when you're ready to glitter, you can. Obviously, we still have more steps, but I'm going to have Livia get that ready for you, okay? Now, after your pumpkin's filled in, you can, again, either use your detail brush or your flat brush with orange on one corner to start adding all those fun pumpkin grooves. And just kind of start on one side. And the bumps on the top and bottom of your pumpkin will indicate for you where those go. So that's kind of helpful. So you'll have kind of that bump on the top that you want to connect to the little bump on the bottom. And so that'll help you know where you're going. It's just orange and white. Yeah, just lighten your orange. I like to put a little orange shadow around the fingers too, if you're feeling extra brave with your orange. And when you get to the center of the pumpkin, it's just that long oval shape. And you're just going to connect the top to the bottom again. And you're welcome to do this with your detail brush and not try and do it with your flat. And then we have a cute little pumpkin. If you're doing it with a detail brush, your pumpkin might need to dry before you do the lines. So if your lines aren't showing up, let your pumpkin dry and then do the lines. If they're showing up enough for you, then go for it. But sometimes when your pumpkin is still wet and you're using a detail brush, it'll be a little more difficult. Okay, I'm going to get a damp, clean brush with white on one corner, and I'm going to use that to highlight some different places. So just a damp brush with white on the corner, and I'm going to come up in my hat and do some highlights. So again, it's just a damp, clean brush. So use your clean water, put white on one corner, and then you can start highlighting. And we'll do this real quick before we do our beard so that they can dry and we can glitter if we want to. Do one in the patch. Do some highlights in the shoes too. If at any point you're working with paint that's wet because you're a little bit behind, just let things dry before you go into the highlights and stuff. Mine's all drying pretty fast. I'll put some highlights in my pumpkin too. Then I'll do a highlight in the stem too. So again, with your highlights, you're going to get a clean, damp brush. Or you can do this with your detail brush and you can just go through and put these little white strokes in there, okay? Okay. Don't highlight your pumpkin till it's dry, unless you're using a detail brush. The flat one you might blend too much in. I will get my detail brush and some white paint and highlight the bows a little bit too. So I'm just going to get these finishing details in so that the kids that have parents coming will be ready to go. If you're still painting and you're not to these steps yet, don't worry about it. I just don't want parents to be waiting for their kiddos if their kiddos are done. So you'll want to put a little highlight in the eyes by using the bottom of one of your smaller brushes. And you're just doing a white dot similar to how we did a black dot, but it's just a little smaller off to the side of the eyes. All right, friends, we are going to do our beard. That's the last step before glittering, okay? So I like to do mine in gray, so I mix some gray. You can do black, you can do brown, whatever you want to do, okay? I'm going to do mine in gray. For the artists that are ready to glitter, Libby, everybody has a plate by them? Okay, so you have a plate of glitter next to you. You can glitter at any time. Just make sure what you're glittering is dry, okay? And make sure your brush is clean. I glittered the hat and the pumpkin. Those are the two things I chose to glitter. My only advice is don't glitter everything, because then when the light hits it, you kind of get blinded. Now I'm going to make some gray. So I'm going to get just a touch of black with some white and start making my gray. Once I have the gray I want, I'm going to water it down substantially so that it gives me nice brush strokes, okay? So I'm going to add water to it, thin it out, and then I'm going to start going on my beard here. Lines are much less frustrating if your paint is thinned out. So just keep that in mind. And you've got those marks on your canvas to follow. Some of them aren't completed marks, so you'll want to look up every once in a while. And just remember pressure too. If you push really hard on your brush, you're going to get a thicker line. You can always move your canvas off the easel if you need to get some of these. It can be tricky to paint lines straight up and down. Try and go as long as you can before your stroke breaks. And try to go, don't go too slow, that's when you start shaking. Yep, I just made some gray. Like I said, some of the pencil marks aren't complete because of the way we do our patterns. So every once in a while, just look up and see if you're completing those hairs so they look like they're connecting places. Again, water your your paint down. I can't stress that enough. It will really like change your experience with lines if it's watered down. If it's not, you're just gonna be super angry with how it's turning out. With these hairs coming down at the bottom, I do come into the beard a little bit. It is just orange, whoever asked that. Woo! So the other option, if you don't want to do lines and you haven't started yet, is just to paint your beard white and paint over the lines if you don't want to outline the lines and just have a white beard. All right. Livia, can I have a little bit of glitter just so I can show them? No. Okay, so remember the tips. Water your paint down. You don't want milk. You don't want that milky consistency. That's why I say melted ice cream, because it still has kind of a foaminess to it. Still has a little bit of a bounce. But you do want to water it down. I don't know if you'll be able to see it in my screen, but this is the consistency of my paint. It's moving really good. I can twist my brush to get a point, okay? That will help with those lines. When your lines are done, your hat should be dry if you want to glitter it. Get a nice, clean, dry, flat brush, and you can just put glitter right over it. This will dry clear, so you can put it on nice and thick if you want it really sparkly. Again, make sure what you're glittering is dry. If you want to glitter something that's still wet, we have blow dryers, so you can go over and blow dry them. But we'll get this nice sparkle. I don't know, this gnome needed some sparkle. Just fit, I think. Do you need some white? Yeah. Natalie, she needs some white. And then I glitter my cute little pumpkin. You can even go down on the shoes. I think I did glitter the shoes. Get some sparkly shoes. And that is our fun gnome. Okay, I know so many of you are just still hard at work, so that's totally fine. For my kiddos that are finished, you can go blow dry your paintings. Just keep the blow dryer on low, okay? Livia, there's a hand up on the floor. So just keep it on low. When you're ready to go, make sure your aprons are off, okay? And don't forget to sign your painting. I almost forgot. I'm going to grab my detail brush. You want to use your little brush to sign. Don't sign with a big one. And find a good spot. Oh. Sign your name. Anyway, make sure your aprons stay. Obviously, the painting goes with you. And I'm going to be on the floor walking around. So if you need anything, holler out to me, okay? I'm going to come check out all of these fun gnomes with all these fun background colors. Don't rush the end. You're welcome to stay and finish. We'll just kind of be picking up around you, so don't feel weird about that because that's what the girls will do. But you're welcome to stay and finish, okay? And just holler if you have any questions or you missed parts that you need me to help you with, okay? I'm going to come check these out.